We're going to go ahead and open up the meeting. Village Clerk, please call the roll.
Burgess.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Bates.
Here.
Washington.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Williams.
Here. Okay, item number 2, the July 4th parade fireworks.
Details are being worked out with the parade. It will be on July 4th. I believe the fireworks will be on the Friday before the 4th.
Third.
On the 3rd.
Fireworks. Parade. Fireworks.
Details are being worked out.
Trustee Myers.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
Yeah, the funds are already available for fireworks.
Trustee Washington.
I'm just asking for clarity. Is there a reason why the fireworks show is going to be a different day this year than the parade?
Well, it's cheaper if you do it the day before or after. If you do it on the day before, it goes double.
Any other? Friday the 3rd for the fireworks and the parade is Saturday. Trustee Myers. Can you use the mic, please?
The permit application that you and the mayor had signed for the fireworks, if that's submitted to the state and everything, they have to be notified that we're going to have a fireworks. And we have some nominated building and all that. I don't think so, we just got filled out, submitted in. And then also our insurance company, that should be for our relative.
Item number 3, intergovernmental agreement by and between the Village of P.L.A.N Park and the Village of Sauk Village for the provision of emergency response communication and dispatch services. Do you guys know what's box? This is for the actual location that we'll be at. I know that we already talked about the conference room, but this is for the actual location that will be transferred to. That's what this agreement is for. There will be a 6 o'clock meeting next week Tuesday, where the people who will be handling our software and the transition over there will be here to meet with us and to discuss how that process is going to work. Okay? It's just George.
I read in it, it said it can hold up to 10 other towns. Are we the first town to go on with them?
I don't think we're the first. We kind of came in. I'm not sure who was the first one to sign the contract. I know that we're one.
P.L.A.N Park is the first. There is actually their facility, P.L.A.N Park. They're dispatching for themselves. And Sauk Village will be the second one, and they're also taking other actions for them.
This is more than just about the location. It's about provision of service, maintaining equipment, so it's not just location. So I think you should explain that there's more in this document than just location.
And that's why they'll be here next week, because it's for the location and all that it entails. So the people who are going to be coming next week are the ones who are handling that transition. We're handling, like I said, the software and the whole transitional process. That's what this is for. So they'll be here at 6 o'clock to answer any questions that you have. 6 o'clock next week to answer any questions that you have about this.
My question is for the village. Has anyone assessed this since the first was made? Has anyone done an assessment about the quality of service that they're providing?
I personally have not, and I don't know if anybody on the board has, and to my
Could
now.
you ask the mayor?
Sure.
And at the time, next week, we'll be discussing how much our fees are, or has that already been discussed?
The fee structure
Per month.
for the dispatch was already discussed in the other contract that we did. Are you asking for the fee for the maintenance?
Yes.
So, they would discuss all of that next week, please.
And can I get a copy of that? What, fees that we're paying?
For the, yes. Just in case, you might want to get them both.
I do have a question, Mayor Pro Tem. On page 9, it says that we are supposed to supply liability insurance. I thought that it's held as part of the facility. Why are we providing at our cost $5 million liability insurance for bodily harm? And I mean, it's their facility. Why do we need to pay for that? That's something that maybe the mayor needs to, I'm sure he read it, but they need to answer that. Why should we provide any type of insurance? It's not our building. We're just, we made an agreement to use Kurtz as our dispatch. But if we have to pay an insurance policy against liability, that's something that we need to reassess. But I don't see where we should have to pay anything, because it's not our facility.
I would definitely bring it up next week, Tuesday, while they're there, because that's a question that the mayor and they would have to discuss. Trustee Myers.
I believe Trustee Burgess was right, during their presentation, I believe they said these are their employees and they will provide them with everything. And the only reason I see that we possibly might need some type of liability insurance while they're dispatching over here at our police station.
No, it said Cal Park. It said Cal Park.
Okay, then yeah, that's a good question. Let's find out why we have to do it. When they presented the presentation, they weren't on board saying these are our employees.
And it also states, number 22, the different, it's a waiver stating that Sauk Village waives all claims or action against Cal Park. So if they do something that may cause harm to Sauk Village, or they may cause harm to someone, a resident in Sauk Village, they're not responsible for that. That's something that needs to be checked in, because if their mismanagement or whatever happens, and that results in bodily harm or injury, death, or damage, they're claiming they're not going to be responsible for that. Is 11, is 13, 14 pages,
That's all we have.
15 pages.
That might be part of a bigger agreement, but this is just what you guys are. Right. That, it says at the beginning of it, it says the agreement, the last page says the signature, there's nothing missing in between, right?
Yeah,
The
it
pages
is.
are numerically.
Yes, it is. All the even pages are missing.
Oh, well, then, you know what, then you guys definitely, I'll have to make sure you have a brand new copy.
The one,
That's how it's received by the attorneys.
the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14.
Okay. That's why we have meetings for.
It's such, it's such.
I'm sure they'll all be answered, and tomorrow morning you'll have it all in your box. That's how it came from the attorney, so I will make sure that you rectify that situation of being in your boxes in the morning.
Yeah, you're right. It's, you can read on page 3, it goes from E, and then on page 5, it goes back to D. So yes, we're missing pages.
It'd be nice if you guys would check your boxes before the meetings, because it's all going to take care of. But anyway, I will take care of it.
We just got this, right, we just got this Sunday night at 9 o'clock, so I'm
Right, so
running
it's been in
morning.
your box for 48 hours, but
For
anyway.
one
I'll
day.
take
If
care
the
of it.
attorney's got it like that,
Right.
they should.
you're not in miracle secrets, there's obviously an error that will be corrected first thing tomorrow morning. As soon as I get it done. I guarantee you. Okay? That's fine. You want to take the discussion to next Tuesday when everybody's coming on board? That's great. Because by that time, we'll have the other agreements as well. The software and the equipment agreements. So I'll make sure you have all of those in one little packet for you. Okay? And you won't be able to go there on Friday. That's what I asked for.
I have another question I want to ask about non-scripted.
Go ahead.
When it says about the $5 million, are they saying that they want us to have like $5 million worth of insurance, or they want us to pay $5 million for the insurance? Like sometimes we have an event, somebody they want you to have $1 million worth of insurance, they want us to pay for the insurance with all the other municipalities that's coming on board, that's our part to pay $5 million, or they want $5 million for the insurance.
They would want $5 million worth of insurance.
Okay. They don't necessarily want us to pay $5 million. Okay. Good, thank you.
Item number 4, council commissioners.
No, I'll wait till after the last one, say after.
Okay.
But this is just my observation. And cutting and slashing, I think we went past that. As far as cutting anything, it's we're going to cut and slash all of our residents right out. What we need to do is stop moving trucks that's exiting Sauk Village. So if that's one thing to concentrate on, create the environment, start here. I mean, this is where it all starts at with us. If we could start with recognizing and respecting everyone and going as need to do. I think that would bring people, and it would at least keep people here. We don't push anyone away. We need more residents. We need to occupy the vacant homes. We need that revenue. That revenue is something that we could use as cost savings. I mean, that's bringing in money. So we may need to look in a whole new direction of cutting and slashing, if you want to call it. That's all I have to say.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, maybe this may be on the cost initiative. Last week I did ask the village administrator to provide me with a scope of why we're spending money on surveillance. He's here now. I never got an answer back from him. He told me it was the mayor, that he didn't want to talk to the mayor. But I come to find out that there is a invoice, and in that invoice, it states that we have a $12,000 retainer, and also on last week's accounts payable, it was on the accounts payable under U.S. investigations for $5,400, and I did ask how much it would cost, how much it did cost for that particular sweep, and it was told to me under $5,000. But I also asked the village administrator to tell us what that entailed. What did they do? What's going on? What's happening? I still haven't got back. Mr. Rivers never got back to me with that answer. But he's here now. I'm sure people would like to know, what did we spend $5,400 on? Who gave them the authority to go out and get this contract? Because I'm sure I didn't hear anything about it to sign an agreement with anyone for any type of surveillance. I mean, for that kind of money, we could do a lot of other things with it. If it's $12,000 retained, you better believe that company's gonna try to use every bit of that. And the way things out, that was not in the budget. There was nothing in that budget for that, and who gave the authority other than just the mayor to spend that type of money without even bringing it to the village the village board as a whole. So I'm sure Mr. Fairman is here. He told me last week that he would get back with me. It's a week later, I still haven't heard anything. And I'd like to answer on two things. Why did we do this? And how much is it going to cost us?
Yes.
I'm just asking, Mr. Fairman, is it
Yes.
about what I was talking about?
Yes.
Oh, you know the answer, okay.
No, I don't know the answer. I'm asking you, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I understand the answer. What I'm saying to you is, last week when Mr. J. Duffy Fairman said that he would prefer if you asked the mayor what you wanted to know, I was here with human relations last night, the mayor was here. All I'm asking is, you have a right to ask me anything you want, but like on my job, my superintendent will call and ask me where's my building principal. I said, call his cell phone, 'cause I don't want to get in the middle of that. If he feels uncomfortable as an employee answering something that the mayor, I don't know if we had directed him to do it, didn't direct him to tell us, but I'm saying, if he tell you, would you communicate with your question to the mayor? Because I was following the directive, I'm just asking you, can you ask the mayor? Or you still want him to answer it?
The reason why I'm asking the trustee is because his name is also on the invoice stating that he gave the okay to have this work done.
And out of respect, I'm just asking you.
No, I'm asking the people's names that are under the mayor's not here. His name.
Because you want to know it.
No,
You
I
have a right
want
to
to
ask.
know. The people want to know.
Whoever want to know. I'm just saying the mayor is not here.
Okay.
If he doesn't feel comfortable answering it, he
But
wants to better answer. I'm asking you.
he is our village administrator.
Yes, he is.
Okay, he answers to the board
Yes,
and the
he
mayor.
does.
So
Yes,
all
he
I'm
does.
doing is asking him what I asked last week, can I get an answer? That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking you to talk to
It's
the
okay.
mayor.
I just want to ask you.
Mr. Fairman, do you have anything additional to say that you did last week?
No, I did not. All I said, I talked to the mayor said, Mr. Burgess, and I'll talk to him. I did not make a decision, so my position is the same.
Okay,
I
now,
have it written down a note.
You wrote it down last
I
week?
did, and I looked at it, passed it on to the
Okay.
mayor.
well, I just wanted to, I do have the invoice. I have the invoices here, and I can pass it around to the trustees to let them see those that have not seen it. And you can see that the public safety director and the mayor confirmed this on May 8, 2015. And also, it shows that since we're going to play this, it shows the description was counter surveillance and eavesdropping services. Quarterly full comprehensive electronic counter surveillance and eavesdropping detection for a multi-office building located in Sauk Village. And the reason, this is why I asked, village administrator J.W. Fairman has privacy concerns of possible eavesdropping and wants to ensure privacy of all city officials as proactive for the best of the city. And the scope of it, and that was $3,500. The scope of the work was, it says agents are the agents, I guess, that own this company, who perform counter surveillance and eavesdropping services to detect the following devices listed below. Infrared probing detects light beams, including lasers, which have become an increasingly popular way to transmit audio. Carrier current and video probing detects carrier current eavesdropping on all electronic devices and outlets, and also detects the presence of hidden video cameras. Wireless transmitting scanning transmits audio wirelessly to nearby recording devices. Window transmitter scanning. Decal transmitters which transmit audio to nearby receivers. Digital recording devices scanning. Small and micro recording devices. Building layout and detailed reports will be completed and turned over to the public safety director. Scanning periods will last for multiple 3 to 10 working days during the process. Detailed reports and layouts will be submitted and completed on each scan. The reason why I asked the village administrator, because his name is in here, so, and it also says an initial retainer, $3,500 by credit card and $9,000 by check. We've already paid the $5,400. This is the reason why I wasn't trying to, I'm asking questions and trying to get answers to why we spend $12,000 on something like this and we still have problems and needs in this village. If you feel that, if someone feels that parent, bring it to the board. We have executive sessions, we have board meetings. Let the board know you're going to spend or you want to spend $12,000 on something, counterintelligence or whatever, but at least bring it. Don't do this and then come back and just give an invoice and just put it in there and no one says anything. That's why I brought this up. That's why I'm asking questions. And that's why I asked Mr. Fairley, because his name is here. And it, you know, so it also says we have terms and conditions. All transactions are final, no refunds. So therefore, that $12,000 is gone, but we did this once before. We've done this when we had the grass cutting, and things were done without this board approval. And all I'm asking is to bring it to the board before we do this. At least explain, we go an explanation why this is being done. If you feel that someone is here is doing something that's going to terrorize the village, at least bring it up. But don't go out and make a contract for $12,000 and do not inform this board. That's all I'm asking.
Trustee Washington.
Trustee Burgess, I agree with you 100%. And we did tell the mayor, we asked the mayor rather, before he ever spent money again after that grass cutting incident, to inform the board before any money was spent. And I remember, to my recollection, that the mayor said that he agreed that from now on, before the money is spent, that the trustee should know. But I want to ask a question, if you feel comfortable answering to Mr. J.W. Fairman, if you don't, that's fine. Who wrote approved them here? Is that?
Again, I'm not going to get into discussion.
Okay.
I talked to the mayor again, he wanted to talk.
Okay, that's fine. That's
I mean,
fine.
I'm
No
not
problem
being
with that.
funny.
No, that's okay. That's all I want to know. Who wrote approved? Because whoever wrote approved, that's what put for the money to be spent. And who signs the check? The mayor, right?
Mayor, your village clerk, your village administrator, and your finance director.
All four of them have the ability to sign the
I
check.
don't think that the village administrator has signatory powers, but your treasurer, your finance director, your village clerk, and your mayor all have signatory. They
Okay.
can sign checks.
So even if he ordered it or knew about it, he still do not have the authority or the power to sign the check. To sign the check, right? Mr. Fairman did.
No, and any type of invoice you have to go through like accounts payable.
Right.
That's
Right.
how we're in the process.
Okay.
Any other possible issues? Trustee Tate.
First of all, I don't see my department heads here, and I want to apologize to them. I raised questions at the last meeting. I was told later that it seemed like I put the police department, fire department on notice. That's not my intent. What I had asked was about the village spending $200 a month for a copy machine at the fire department. And it's been there for 4 years. So we spent roughly $10,000 on renting a copy machine. So that's my question for them. For the police department, I questioned why their pension was not included in the audit. We paid $5,000 because it was not included in the audit. Those are things that should never happen. This is not the first audit we've ever had. I don't know why they would leave the police pension out of the audit, but that's neither here nor there. So those are two things the department heads that I want to get straight. But I would like to tell the mayor, I would like someone to do a cost saving, not a cost saving initiative, a comparison of long range rental of equipment, i.e. this copy machine, you pay almost $10,000 for, as opposed to purchasing a machine, maintenance contracts, whatever needs to go along with it for the long run. Because we're going to pay this $200 a month. If we keep a machine for 10 years, we're going to continue to pay $200 a month, and it's ridiculous. So I'd like to see a cost comparison of all lease or rented equipment in the village.
So the cost of person all,
Leased or rented,
all is all.
any other costs that council president moving? No. I'd like a motion to recess an executive session for discussion of personnel
why we went to executive session if the mayor is not here?
Because there's items that need to be discussed. Trustee Myers has an item of pending litigation to discuss, and there's an update for Trustee Burgess' question on the state.
Tate? Yes. Washington?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes. Motion approved. Can I get a motion to reconvene? Village Clerk, please call the roll.
Burgess? Jones? Myers? Tate? Washington? Williams?
Yes. Okay, moving on to item number 7, public comment. All questions of the comment must be directed to me and Mayor Kane's absence. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to comment on topics of their choice. Each speaker will be allowed 1 opportunity to speak. And I'm going to state, like I said last week, that the mayor is not here, but I will write down all of your questions to address with the mayor.
I'm gonna actually answer.
I'm sorry. Can we please? Can we please?
Break it up, Ted, break it up.
Is your mic on?
Yes, it is.
Can we please give the speaker the respect that we would all want if we were up in that position?
You can hear her, but can you hear me?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and officials of the board. I am Martha Campbell. I have 3 specific questions that I would like you to report and concern with the NPR. One of them is regarding the budget. And definitely with regards to the new structure for committees. I see now that we have chair people and co-chairmen of each one of our committees. And it's also my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that with meetings, there's a certain amount of monies that go along with those meetings when the chairperson is here. And I'd like to know how those funds are going to be allocated, were they included in the budget? And what's the plan so that we do not really go over budget with paying 2 trustees per meeting? The second one is looking at the policy for publicly posting and recording. I know that with Open Meetings Act, the cameras are okay here and we can post it on Facebook and everything along that line. But I guess the concern that I have right now is that I saw on Facebook a proceeding from a closed executive committee, and I'm not certain if that would fall within a policy, not the entire, but portion of an executive meeting is posted on Facebook. So that is somewhat concerning to me. The last one is with regards to county surveillance that you all were talking about earlier. And where that's concerned, I want to know if we follow policy relative to taking bids before allocating monies and awarding. Because I would think that with that amount of money, we would have at least 3 bids to be treated. Thank you.
I would like to address your first question. Your first question, the answer to that is no. Each trustee, it's put in the budget, and it's, I believe it's part of our ordinance, that each trustee gets paid for 1 committee meeting lunch. Such as like myself, prior to the 3 titles I have now for committee chair, I had 2 prior. I only got paid for 1 of them. I held 2, but I only get paid for 1 if I turn in a sheet. So whether I'm the co-chair or a chair or whatever, and whether it's for community outreach partnership or the public relations committee or non-finance or whatever conjunction he made, it doesn't matter, it's 1. So whatever trustee, if they attend a meeting, whether they're chair, co-chair, or whatever, they get paid for 1 meeting, and that's what's in the budget.
How much more time do I have? Because it's so automatic.
You get 1 chance to state all your questions and then they're done.
It's the same one.
Well,
but it's in
once
response.
the
We
mayor.
don't tend to rebuttal, but
I'm just, thank you so much, I appreciate it. So I'm wondering now then, the meeting that a trustee
would attend, for which they would get paid for, will they give more to that particular committee, or will they be equally committed to either one, whether they're chairperson, co-chair? I would really like to see, you know, the total dedication, whether they're getting paid for being or not.
That I can't answer. I think that would be like an individual situation. But honestly, I would expect everybody up here who ran, you know, to be an elected official to give 110% every time that they could. And I don't think that it's anybody's intention up here to give more to the other, or, you know, whatever. And it's just, sometimes not every committee meets every month. I don't know how everybody's going to structure their committees, but financially, it's only one. And if you could come to me at a board meeting, because when I address this with Dave, he's probably going to want to know the date of your second question.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Dasher. I'm coming to you with this comment because it did take place here in Sauk Village at your community center on Thursday at your Panera Bread, when they give out the Panera Bread. I am a registered nurse. I take care of senior citizens, and I bring them on Thursday to the Panera Bread facility, here for the Panera Bread. When I first registered with my senior, we were told the time to come was 10 o'clock. Could not come before 10. So my senior and I, we were coming at 10. About the second time we came, we noticed when we got there at 10, there was at least 10 or 15 names already listed on the sign-in sheet, and we were told that this was all that was left. There was nothing else that could be, you know, they didn't have anything else available. I said, okay. So I came back a couple of times with my seniors, and I noticed it was the same thing, that people were signing in and were getting ready before 10 o'clock, which I was told was the rule, the standard rule. Okay, I came this Thursday with my senior. She had had cataract surgery. So we came about 9:25. I said, well, if people are coming before 10 o'clock and they're giving out bread to them, we'll come early, especially since she had surgery. So I proceeded to go in. I don't know the lady's name that was there. She said, oh, you all are early. She said, it's not 10 o'clock yet. And first of all, the first thing I noticed that she was taking bread out of the plastic bag that had already been cooked with no gloves on. My pastor's wife is a supervisor of a Chicago public school kitchen, cafeteria. I'm a registered nurse, and I have family that work in the food industry. You are not to handle bread products. You have her hands on the table, picking up cake with no gloves on that you're going to give to the people. That's the first thing. So I brought the issue to her about the people signing up and being given bread before 10 o'clock. She said, well, Panera had bought a lot of bread that Thursday, and she was kind of busy and she needed help. So my cousin said, would you like for me to help you? She said, no. She said her husband or whoever was sitting there, the two gentlemen that are always sitting there whenever you come, they were helping her, but I didn't see anybody moving. So she said, well, if you want to wait 45 minutes, you can sit here and wait and talk. So I said, well, we're not going to wait 45 minutes. I said, I don't think this is fair. I've come several times with my seniors to see this, and I will come to the village meeting, and I will bring this up because if it's 10 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock for everyone. So my cousin and I proceeded out the door. Two ladies were coming, and they asked my cousin, can we go in now? They said, my cousin says, no, I don't want anything because she's handling all the bread with no gloves on. So the two ladies left. My cousin and I, we were halfway to my car. She ran out of the building. She ran up behind me.
Ma'am, I don't want to cut you off, but it has been 3 minutes.
Okay, well, she ran up.
I don't want to.
Okay, well, she ran up behind me screaming and hollering and putting her finger in my face, which I did not appreciate.
I do understand that. Was that last Thursday?
Yes, ma'am.
Thursday? Okay. I just want to make sure that I got that for
Yes.
last Thursday.
Okay.
in the village. Zero. I got board of trustees, don't even know how much money we got. I got people supporting the man, whether they trust him or not, and running against him too. I think I should support them just on their, run. But the point that I'm getting at is, we got a mayor that's not doing what he's supposed to do. Our board has to step up more. When we look for answers, we should have them. I'm still waiting on answers from 2 weeks ago, it seems, and answers from last week. And I'm looking at it, well, I probably won't get them forever. But transparency we don't have. No, you're right. But I still got time. And Mayor Pro Tem, you were speaking for self when you talked about monies that you get according to the meetings that you allocated. We don't have a chair or co-chair on the seniors. We do not have a chair or co-chair on the housing. And guess what? You get paid one, as you say, for your one participation. What's happening with those other two committees? And as it stands, do you see other people's check? And that would be my question to you. See, because you can only speak for yourself on what you get and what somebody else gets, like grass cutting or this, what is this sweep that nobody knows about and everybody should know about? What's going on? Tell me more. And I'm under 3 minutes. Thank you.
You're right, Mr. Stewart. I can only speak for myself and what I get paid. But from what I understand is the practice, every trustee is allotted one committee meeting, and that's what they get paid for. We have some newer trustees who may have not received that payment yet, and I don't know if there's any other trustee that would like to verbally say that they got paid for more meetings. But there's no trustee up here that's got paid for more than one committee meeting.
Okay, the CNN fund, I have been in close contact with Jim Zarek. We're trying to put a limit together. It's not how you think it is because there's certain things that qualify. We have to have someone that comes out to a particular home to make sure that they're qualified and that what they're claiming is correct. So that's what the holdup is right now. And also we have to put a cap on it because there's only so much money and only certain people qualify. And we have to make sure we have to, that comes out of that money is the person that actually comes out and looks at those homes that claim that have to make a claim. So that's what we're working on now. Make sure we got all the logistics in order to make it fair and applicable. I can tell you next week, but I'm not sure because we've been going back and forth over the phone. We were supposed to meet this week, but I've had some personal things I have to take care of, so I wasn't able to. Hopefully we get it. I can meet with him again before the end of the week is out, and we can go over that. Right now, I can tell you that most of the things in place, we just have to find a contractor at a reasonable cost. We have to bring back to the village and let them know that this person is going to be the one that's going to go to the different homes, and we have to also put a cap because we have so much money, and also what boundaries, who does it apply to? In other words, where they live at and how far away from the train they have to be.
That is something that I'm going to present. Everything else will be presented to the end. We can get back to you first.
You can explain, further, the administrative, roles and responsibilities.
The person who kind of is out the roles and responsibilities would be the mayor, which is why I stated that the mayor will get back to you on those questions.
So can you also put down that we like a copy of his roles and responsibilities?
Sure. That's okay.
The cell phones,
What did you say about vehicle usage?
the vehicles used by the employees.
Just take home vehicles.
We would say like $43,000 if we gave up that perk, if they gave up that perk.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Gaines, and before I express my concerns, I'd like to compliment the Public Works Department for cutting down trees that may have endangered my home. And I would like to compliment them also on yesterday mulching the tree branches. There was a sign on the marquee that said May 10th have all branches out, but it did not say when, you all would be able to get to them. So they were gotten to yesterday. Thank you very much. I'd also like to compliment, I was here last Wednesday for the youth group, and they performed well. There were two young men that had a skit, and there was one young man from, I think he was in 8th grade, and he spoke. So I was very impressed. Those are the nice things I'd like to compliment on. It's not going to take me 3 minutes. I would appreciate it if we could have our 911 back in Sauk Village, because I called 911 one day about 3 weeks ago, and no one ever came. And it was my understanding that the Calumet Park or Calumet City never relayed the message to Sauk Village. It could have been detrimental to me and catastrophic. The other thing, I have a question, and my question is there an ordinance for motorized bikes to be on the sidewalk if the children are 12, 13, 14, and if not, what are the consequences that the village has in place? And the last thing that I would like to say, next to the last thing, grass cutting of the unoccupied homes in the rear. I attempt to keep my home in some type of order. We have snakes, possums, and everything else. And if the grass is tall, that's where the snakes are going to be. And I have spent quite a bit of money to make sure that the snakes were not in my yard. So I'm hoping that, we can do something about that. The last thing, and I was unaware, but the last thing I heard today was surveillance and eavesdropping, and that bothered me. So I'm concerned about the eavesdropping for anything, for any reasons whatsoever. I don't think that should take place, and we as citizens and taxpayers of Sauk Village pay for that. Next time we have a meeting, I promise I'll have some more comments and some questions. Thank you very much.
My name is Margaret Harris, and the mayor's not here, so I'm going to address you and the village board. 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with code enforcement department head supervisor in regards to several code violations in the area where I live. May 27th, a code official came to that area, was checking the area out, and in the process, gave my name to everybody who she talked to. I was threatened with bodily harm. I was threatened with property damage. I called the police. 2 residents told the police officers that the village inspector told them my name. And I want to know what the village is going to do about it. I do not, should I have to accept this.
Is that all you have? Is that all you have? Is that all?
Well, I want to know what's going to be done.
I'm going to explain to you, is that your only comment?
Yeah.
Okay. Our village administrator is in the audience right now, and he does oversee our department along with the mayor. So I am writing this down, and I'm going to give this to the mayor, but if you would like to come to me or to him after the meeting to get your contact information, so one of them or both of them will follow up with you, because I agree that that's not something that should have happened. Thank you. Give me one there. Okay.
Your Honor, I'd like it if we just have the mayor tell Kevin, Public Works, thank you for going to Stratton Van Til's in Cherville and picking up the lockers that they donated for the gym, so that the kids could now put their clothes and their iPhones and whatever, they'll have lockers now to put in instead of having the stuff on the floor. And so I'd like him to relay the message to tell Kevin, thank you to his department for picking them up. That's it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm ready.
It's all good, I just got a question. First of all, come Friday, the kids will be out of school. School will be out come Friday. That means summertime is coming, and the kids will be all out in the streets. I want to know how come the lawns and the code is not being enforced. As far as curfew, and as far as kids walking in the street, we got a law about that called jaywalking. Now, I was driving up 223rd Street, kids were walking right in the middle of the street, I'm tooting the horn, they won't move. Now, this is serious. I think it needs to be enforced.
Again, I will pass this on to the mayor and to Gina to discuss those departments. Yes, you're right.
Where's the mayor?
Judy Castor. I feel like we're back in the towers and the Robert Fox era. I don't mean this for trustee Jones or trustee Gates. You haven't been here long enough. But our board seems to be in the habit of allowing, and I'm saying allowing because every one of you trustees is responsible for the money that goes through the budget, goes through everything. You're supposed to approve it all. Yet over and over and over again, money is spent without the trustees even knowing about it. Nobody confronts them, nobody talks with them, nobody says we have to. They don't say anything, they just spend it and slide it in and you bottle your heads and pass it. Well, if we had $5,499 for bugs, then why didn't we have the money to keep somebody's insurance going like every other dispatcher had going? We stabbed her in the back. Every other dispatch has 90 days working for her. This lady didn't even know she didn't have a job until she went on the internet. And that's wrong. Another wrong thing, and if you want to call me negative, because I don't care. I'm telling the truth. Since a few people who ask questions, the mayor considers insignificant, and the questions weren't answered. We the people want him to know, even if one person gets up here and asks a question, they deserve an answer.
Oh my God.
We have an extremely qualified person on our police department. You talk about cost initiative. Why do you keep talking about it when nobody's listening to you? They have no, they're going to keep spending the way they want to spend, and the hell with what you think. You want to save the money, they want to spend the money. We got to stop it. We have somebody that's qualified. She's been the chief, she's been the assistant chief, the temporary chief, the acting chief, any kind of chief you want to think of. Cost initiative-wise, she would be a good choice. She knows the job, she knows the people, she has their respect. But we're going to consider a black person going there. My question to you as board members, when did color surpass qualifications? Also, I'm done. The canine dog that the mayor says that Tim did on his own without their knowledge. I'm sorry, but we have a video that says that's a lie. We're getting a lot of lies coming through. We also have a copy of the check that he signed for $1,000. So that was all a lie. And I want to know, since they can find $5,999 plus this other $12,500 retainer, why they can't find the money for the second dog that the mayor said we would be getting,
And the people need it.
and that we need since we're short on cops. The people want our town back.
All right.
And we pay him every
Item number 8. Comments from the board of trustees.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just wanted to We talked about this last week. We asked to put this on the agenda. This week it wasn't put on the agenda, but I'd like for it to be brought up to our village attorneys, the question and answer period. Question and answers from the audience on any subject, be at any meeting. Not just the committee of the whole, but on any time we meet, people should be able to ask questions about any topic. Because people come down, they don't know, a lot of them may not know they haven't been here, a lot of them may have not been here to know that we only answer questions on the first and third Tuesday of the month. That means if they don't get their question answered, then they have to wait another week. Just like right now, the mayor has been here for 2 weeks. You have to wait 3 weeks now to get the question that you asked. It should be on every meeting. And that's something I think we need to put an ordinance together. All we have to do is amend the one that we have. We have an ordinance on the books right now that states that it's only on the first and third. I would like to see if we can amend that to state that we should, and it's something that has to go before the board. But I'm asking the board tonight, is it okay? Does anyone have any problems with making it on every meeting, questions and answers of any topic on every meeting? And this is what I'm asking the board tonight, so it can be brought up and be voted on next week at the board meeting.
Trustee Burgess, I agree with you. I attended a meeting last week, and this subject came up. Also, the subject of 3 minutes for speaking came up, and they recommended that both of those be amended. So something you can
Asking all the trustees so we can get it, so it can be brought up and be on, probably be on consensus that if the board consents to it. If not, then we'll just go on and do business. But I just ask the board so they can be brought to the attorneys.
I think it's a great idea.
No, I'm sure the lawyers can make up, we make up ordinances
I think what
and
Trustee Burgess
resolutions.
is asking is that there's a consensus by the board that the mayor could reach out to the attorneys to create a
Correct. Doesn't take that long. Doesn't take that long. We've got ordinances done in 1 day.
I don't disagree with you. My only thing, that I would say that I would not prefer to get to the agenda just because what I would also like to see is why we changed it. Because we need to go back to 2011, because there was lots of discussion about this from this board, and we changed it. We put this policy into place because of many things. So what I would like to see is have all of the, we have some new trustees who are not on the board then. So I think what needs to happen is and I really do wish it was on a committee meeting and it would have been on this agenda, but I understand it was not. But what I think the board needs to review is the minutes, the ordinance itself, to kind of get the history as of why it was changed. And if the climate is different, and if we need to go forward and change it again, fine. Government's ever evolving. I'm not saying that's not true. But there are legitimate reasons why this was put into place, and I think that those need to be reviewed before we change.
Madam Pro Tem, I understand what you're saying, but we've had numerous people come here since 2011 and just want to ask questions. And you're right, at that time the climate was a little different. People were asking, all we're asking is that they can ask any question at any board meeting. You still have a time limit, and you've already said you're not going to go back and forth, but we should not, the people are here for the people. And we should be able to answer the questions, or at least get back to them in a timely manner, but not wait for them to go 2 weeks, and then the next time we get back to them, it's another 2 weeks. So that one question that they ask will be in 4 weeks. I mean, we need to, at least we can show that we're trying. And yes, if it goes on and it gets to a point where we go back and forth, quite naturally, yes, we can deter that. But at least give them an opportunity to ask a question that they've been waiting all week for, to come up here to spend their time to ask us questions, and at least we can, give them an answer in a timely manner rather than in 2 weeks. And then if we can't do that in 2 weeks, It's going to be another 2 weeks before they can ask that same question again.
I don't disagree with Trustee Burgess, but some of the same people who are asking for this were also the same people in 2011 that wanted it changed to be this. They wanted the questions to be held on a committee meeting night prior to board meeting night prior to the voting on everything, because they wanted to make sure that their concerns and that what they had to say was addressed to the board prior to them voting. They wanted to make sure that the residents, when I'm saying they, the residents wanted to make sure that their concerns, what if they didn't want a trustee to vote on something, they wanted to make sure the trustees knew that before they voted. Also, we used to have they wanted the public comment at the bottom of the committee meeting agenda, because what was happening was they were asking questions prior to presentations. So people would ask the questions, they'd have a presentation. What if they had a question about the presentation? They couldn't come back and ask it because it's only on one place on the agenda. So that's why I'm asking, and you would say 3 minutes. However, Trustee Tate just stated last week it wasn't exactly. He thinks that, so there's many components, which is why I think it needs to be discussed at a committee meeting, but I also think it needs to have all the components together. We know that the residents have made multiple comments about they would like to see a change. Perfect. I have a problem with that, but I personally, as a trustee, I would like to see the minutes, and I'm asking the village clerk to provide those minutes, the ordinance, and whatever else we have regarding the discussions as to why we changed it this way. Because I think that we just need to kind of remember, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel a third time, because we're changing it again, this will be the third time.
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, that's why I asked Mayor Pro Tem, because I had this on so we could make a discussion tonight, and it was not put on for whatever reason, I don't know, but it was not put on the agenda. So now you're saying that, that's why I'm asking, have the ordinance brought up, have it proposed next week. All it is just changing from the second and fourth to every meeting. The questions and answers from the audience on any subject can be relayed at any board, at any meeting of the whole. And if we wait next week, then it'll be at the end of, it'll be the following 2 weeks from now. And then it'll be voted on 3 weeks from now. So therefore now, it won't happen until the end of this month. And all I'm asking is, is the consent. We've consented on a lot less important things. I'm just asking to have this drawn up by our lawyers or drawn up by the Ordinance Review Committee to just amend what we have to state that questions and answers can be entertained at every meeting of the village of the whole. That's all.
I mean, again, one person, I just don't want to direct the attorneys to do anything until there's been a resolution that we've come up with something. So I would want them to give them the directive of creating an ordinance and then passing the ordinance review if we're not going to change it. And I mean, I think that we need to take the steps. And I agree with Trustee Burgess. You asked for this to be on the agenda. It is not on the agenda. And I know that when the mayor called me at like 6:15 and told me he wasn't going to be here, he did say, please state that I wanted to talk to Trustee Burgess. I know this is not on the agenda. He plans on speaking to you. I'm not sure when. I'm not going to speak for him. What I am going to say is that you did ask for this to be on the committee meeting agenda. I think that it needs to be on the committee meeting agenda, and I think that we need to discuss this. You asked the board if he would have, if we thought as a consensus to ask the attorneys to create an ordinance that he had over the review, the ordinance review committee. We have Trustee Burgess asked for it, so I'm assuming he said yes.
Yes, I am.
Trustee Tate and Trustee Jones have both stated yes. So at this point, what we need is to hear from Trustee Washington and Trustee Myers to see how we're going to go forward.
Can I retract mine?
Oh, sure. Okay, Trustee Washington.
I have no problem with rolling it, stick to the agenda, discuss the item on the agenda.
Well, that's not what his question is. His question is, should as a board, we have the attorneys write up an ordinance that can be voted on next Tuesday? That's what his statement was.
It should be voted on next Tuesday at all meetings. In other words, questions and answers and comments from the audience can be on all meetings. It does not have to pertain to just agenda item voting. They can ask any question at any meeting that we have In other words, if we have a board meeting, because on board meeting nights, all they can ask about is agenda item, and it's at the beginning. Then I hear people get up and say, well, I want to ask the fire department this. And they say, well, the fire department not on the agenda, but the fire department is on the agenda. So when does the person get a chance to talk to all of the department heads other than the second week? Other than the second and fourth week, when did they get a chance to talk to the floor all the week? I want, right, so they can ask questions at least when we have our second and fourth week with the department heads. The department head can answer some of the questions instead of going back and forth. That's all I'm asking, that we, you know, as a board, I know at one time it was a reason because people were going, I don't know, debating, basically, that's what was going on, was the debate. You have your department heads here on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. If they need, if a person has a problem with the police department, you got your board here that can hear what's going on, and the police chief is right there. If that question's not being answered, then we as a board knew that when that person comes back, we can say, yes, that person asked you that question, and you didn't do anything about it when you found. In other words, we know. That's what people come here. They come to talk to the board to find out and to get answers from the board of what's going on. That's who makes policy. The policy is made by the board. And if they can't get that answer, they have to wait 2 weeks so we can bring it up again, and then we have to wait another week to find out if they actually did it. And that's what I'm trying to do.
By that time, you have the result.
Yes.
Trustee Burgess, every item that we take up is not a legal issue. I'm opposed to sending this to the lawyers and paying them to draft anything. We have an ordinance committee. It's already on the books.
Yes.
It can be amended by the ordinance.
That's what I said, right.
We don't need to send that to them.
That's true.
That's by
That's true. I mean, it is ordinance. It is what's on the ordinance. The ordinance states that first and third Tuesdays of the month is for any item only. I'm sorry, any item. Second and fourth Tuesday of the month is for agenda items only. All I'm asking to do is to amend that to say all meetings, any item. That's all. And that goes to us because we have it on the books already.
And then if you go, yes, but everybody goes to the ordinance committee meeting, we probably don't get it till next week. Okay. We won't meet until.
But at least we don't have to spend that money for the lawyer. That's what I think trustee Tate should probably, we have to spend that money for the lawyer.
Which really has allow us the opportunity to put it on a committee meeting agenda so it can be discussed. Trustee Wong.
That's something that we talked about that too. I mean, I have no problem with, 5 minutes or whatever, but I'm just looking to make sure we can start back at 3. I don't know if the ordinance says 3 minutes for every meeting. If it does, then okay. Then you may need to.
That's why I think that there needs to be a committee meeting. Because that way, if it's on a committee meeting, we can discuss it up here, and then we discuss everything, and then there's time for the audience to ask their questions. And I have no doubt that whatever day that this is on the agenda, there will be a line of people that give their opinion, and then your question will be answered. How many minutes they think is appropriate? When do they think that they should have the meeting? That's why, again,
But
I don't know why it was not made.
well, all due respect, this is a committee meeting.
Absolutely. However,
And we
it's not on the
can
agenda.
still discuss it. This is a committee meeting.
We can discuss it.
Right.
His question was the audience. And I think that we're spinning our wheels. Okay? And you know me, I kind of like this one option or the other. Like, one thing we're not going to do things. I try to like speed up some time here. So my thing is, you asked for, the direction has been, I think, kind of given for the ordinance review to look at it. That way we don't have to direct to the attorneys, we don't have to spend any money. I think that's a great idea. It's not going to happen by Tuesday. They need time, which is fine. I am going to put on here again that it's on the next committee meeting so we can discuss it with the materials, and that'll give the audience enough time. So look out for it on the agenda. Please come prepared with your suggestions. Trustee Tate would like to know what an ideal time limit would be. So if you have any other suggestions, I would suggest that you bring those, and I'm sure this board would love to hear them before we vote on them.
So you're saying that this won't come up until 2 weeks from now, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that it was for the next committee meeting, not for another 2 weeks, and then whatever time the ordinance review committee is gonna have to take it anyway, we're not gonna have ordinance until I know what they're doing.
Okay, but okay, the reason why I'm asking is saying because now what we're doing now, we're pushing it back to the 4th week of this month to be voted on.
But the good thing is there's no urgency.
Well,
It's
there
not a
is,
bill that we need to pay, it's
no,
not-
it's not, it's an urgency because people want to ask questions.
Totally, and I understand that, but there's no definitive timeline that we're up against. So instead of making a hasty decision, I think that we can allow the board the opportunity to discuss it, have the audience kind of discuss it, and we can make a decision.
Okay, well then, I see what you're saying, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Then I'll go back and I'll ask you to ask the board to make that, if you guys want to wait for the next committee meeting to bring this up, then there's no.
No, he's asking for the next board meeting is.
The third Wednesday, not the third Thursday.
Third Thursday of the month.
No, not next week.
Well,
No,
then,
but it's something that we can discuss at the next committee, and then he can take it to his committee, which will be after the next committee, but before our last board meeting. So it would be able to be voted on, should it be prepared by the last board meeting.
can I ask this question? Because this is something that I want to find out so we won't have this problem again. If this doesn't make it to the next committee board meeting, is this board prepared to move forward after we get the consent from the, or the ordinance amended by the ordinance review committee? In other words, if the mayor's not here for that meeting, I'd like to know if the board would be ready to discuss this, even if it's not on the committee. I just want to know if this is consensus of the board. Yes. No, to discuss it, because this is supposed to be discussed tonight. It was supposed to be discussed tonight, it's supposed to be on the board.
I think that the board kind of gave the consent or the consensus to the board of review committee to review it with whatever changes we may have or suggestions the audience or the board had in 2 weeks. But I think that if trustee Myers presented something to us, then we would, at least review it. I'm not saying that it would go forward. I don't know how people are going to vote, but I mean, I think that if it was presented, it would be something that we would review.
Okay, then in 2 weeks or whatever, when you get 3 weeks, that you bring something before this board, that we'll be ready to discuss it, even if it's not on the agenda, is what I'm asking. Because I don't want to just say that if it's not on the agenda, we can't discuss it. Because I'm a little tired of that. I mean, if it's not on the agenda, we're here as a board, we should still be able to discuss things that we ourselves, we have called meetings ourselves.
I co-chair myself to make sure you put on the agenda. That would be the
This is supposed to be on the agenda, but it wasn't, so I just want to make sure that even if it doesn't make it, that we can still put this on. I'm just asking for that to be part of the record. That we've asked to be put on the agenda, if it's not, that we still go forth and talk about this. The next thing I have is the Public Works and Lake Michigan Water Committee and also Intergovernmental Relations Committee. I know we talked about. We haven't had a meeting yet. So the Intergovernmental Relations Committee meeting will be held this Thursday at 7 p.m. here in the Village Hall. And I do have the agendas here and it's open to discuss, and we're going to discuss basically our mission, which is going to stay the same. We got some new things that we're going to change. So we will still have the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. And those that would like to be a part of this committee, all I ask is them to give me a little resume or something to let me know why you would like to be on the committee. Because this year we're going to be a little different. We're going to actually, have a lot of input. Intergovernmental relations is exactly what it is. It's intergovernmental with different taxing bodies throughout this area. And also the Public Works and Lake Michigan Water Committee. Okay, this agenda, we're going to condense this. This will be right after intergovernmental, so it'll be at 7:30. And we have to actually create a mission statement. It'll be at 7:30 this Thursday. Now, And we're going to also talk about meeting at different times. So if you would like to be part of this committee, same thing, please come. Just give me a quick summary of why you would like to be part of this committee. There will be a lot of new ideas there because of the title, Public Works and Lake Michigan Water Committee. So I'm sure there's going to be some people that I kind of look at. I'm pretty sure they're going to be along to that. Does not mean that we're going to get Lake Michigan water tomorrow, but we have to work toward it. So I want nobody to think that, that this is about Lake Michigan water, we'll get it next week. I'm not putting that out there. But I would like people that are interested in moving this forward to be at that meeting. So that'll be at this coming Thursday, and both meetings will probably, since they're that way, because the co-chair of this second one has a meeting at the same time that I'm having, so we have to do a little agenda conflict and change the times, but I'm going to make that conducive to everybody. In other words, whoever's on the committee, we can come up with a more conducive time limit that we can meet. But both these committees will meet at the same time, or maybe not. We have to see. But I would like for anyone that would like to belong to this, please show up 7 o'clock for intergovernmental, 7:30 for Public Works and Lake Michigan Water. Thank you.
First of all, I'm going to have a copy of the organizational chart because I'm not sure who reports to whom and who does what. Second thing, I'm not accustomed to having people in charge of areas, department heads, and I don't get to call them administrators or department heads, it doesn't matter, not respond to questions. That happened last week, and we need to find out what direction the mayor is giving to the department head. If the person is the department head, they should know everything that's going on in their department. And if they know everything that's going on in their department, they should be able to respond to any question that we have. This thing about waiting for the mayor to come, if he misses the next 10 meetings, are we going to still wait for him? So the organizational chart may shine some light on this, I don't know. But the question to the mayor is what instructions is he giving the department heads to respond to questions that are asked? We need answers, I guess, from him, whenever he comes. The second thing is, the question came up about the expenditure of funds. As some of you may know, the mayor may be the chairperson for his budget and finance committee. I drafted some policies, which I'm going to get to each board member to review. That was sort of, it doesn't make people do it. It says you will do it, but people do what they want to do. But there's strict guidelines on approvals before you spend funds. Now, I'd like the board to review it and do whatever you want to do with it, and put this on the agenda for approval at the board meeting. The board members have a week to look at this.
This is the second time that somebody's asked for something to be on next week's agenda for approval. I know there is just Burgess is not due. Normally, we put things on the committee agenda and we discuss it totally as a board. We give the audience time to respond. The committee meeting was on the following week's agenda.
Very good.
Yeah, so I mean.
Well, could this be on the agenda for the next committee?
Yes, so you're asking for that, and then you give me a idea.
Yes.
What I was going to suggest is that something that you want to give to the clerk, all of those, and then she can prepare them for the packets for that committee. Because if you give it to us now, when we come back in 2 weeks, you're probably going to have to write another copy.
Oh, no.
So that
We're all responsible adults, so we should keep up.
So if the village clerk can just you'd be amazed what people look like in their boxes and what they can't find and what they didn't have.
So just the trustees know, that several pages is a longer policy than you probably expected. But it sets out guidelines for who has responsibility for doing what and at what time frame. As you may recall, I had an issue with immediate checks being issued. And I brought that up because I can't see the rationale we're here four times a month. I can't see the rationale for the immediate check. If we're here every week, there should be no immediate checks. And most times, there's a 30-day flow period to pay a bill, which means we've met before that. So that will probably answer some of those questions, hopefully. And since we're going to discuss this at a committee meeting, the audience members should keep your ears perked up and be able to comment on them and make sure we get this thing right. Thank you.
Parks and Recreation Committee meeting will be held Thursday, the 4th at 7 o'clock. If there's any volunteers, please come in. There'll be a lot of information, and I'm looking to receive information. Thank you.
We're going to talk about that, what you do in a second. Which one? Budget finance? Thursday, 7 o'clock here. So you're asking me to put you on the village calendar? Yours is already on the village agenda, like you said.
I think he was just worried about the audience, y'all are going to move from him by having all these meetings on the same day.
When is it gonna be?
I'm just a little confused, I'm sorry. Did you back up a little bit? I know when his meetings are, Thursday, 7:30. I know Parks and Rec is 7 o'clock at the community center. You're saying you're also going to have a budget and finance meeting on Thursday at 7 o'clock in the village hall? Okay, so that's true. Now, just so the trustees understand, the newer trustees, we do have a village calendar that if you send me an email, I would be happy to put you on the village calendar, and it repeats from month to month, but it seems like you guys may be altering your dates. Yeah, we'll be on the same time. And some of you are co-chairs of the committee, so. But this week, you're all meeting on Thursday at 7 o'clock in the village hall. And the audience can decide which one they want to participate in.
No, I'm being community center.
Parks and Recs Community Center. Two meetings happening over here, and at some point, maybe you all will be separated your dates.
Dear Parks said he was changing his dates.
And I will put you all on the village calendar. Now, you have the 48-hour rule. Legitimately, committees should post their agendas on their own. It's their job to do it 48 hours in advance. This is something that committees are very lax about, always have been, and probably always will be. But legitimately, I think Trustee Burgess has some agendas right now. Great. He says they're all going to post it. Perfect. You guys are a little bit behind here. We're just getting started, so we'll work with you on that.
Everybody close their ears about the fact that we are 2 hours late for these two meetings.
We're going to be
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. First of all, I just want to say that I had the opportunity to attend the last choir concert at Strasburg School. 15 performances. They danced, they sang, the audience got involved. Of course, what they did happy, I was very happy to hear that song. We had a very good time there. They also said farewell to their principal, Dr. Linda Johnson, which is going to be her due to retire at the end of June. And I really enjoyed being there with the parents and with the staff at Strasburg School. I also want to remind everyone that we do have our neighborhood watch meeting this coming Monday at the fire station. This will be our first meeting where we have our junior neighborhood watch members. So if you have any teenagers on your block that attend Rickover or that attend Blooming Trail High School, we would love to have them come by our neighborhood watch meeting on this coming Monday so that they can get their assignments and get all signed up for our junior neighborhood watch program for the summer months of June, July, August, and ending in September. Also at our neighborhood watch meeting, we will have a second presentation for Conceal to Carry. If you want to know about Conceal to Carry, we're going to be offering that class in the village in the very near future. It's a pretty expensive class because we have so many people that want to take it. We're going to be able to get that class at a reduced price. You can get your 4-year card, and that's questions that you want to know about, get everything still carried on this coming Monday, and we meet at the fire station at 7 o'clock. Finally, I just want to answer a question. I think she just left, but as far as legal watch is concerned, and now co-chairing Parks and Recs, I only get paid for one committee. It doesn't matter how many meetings we have a month. Neighborhood Watch meet a lot, sometimes even weekly. I meet with my officers and with my block club captains, regardless of how many times we meet a month or how many committees that we're on. We only get paid for one meeting per month. I only do. And that concludes my report.
Hi, I'm Wayne. Since everybody's trying to meet this Thursday, I'm gonna go ahead and have a meeting on June 11th, next week, Thursday, at 7 p.m. So I will have told you guys. So that way, get it done, and we get it to the committee. We have 3 proposals that's in front of the committee. And I think I picked up another one tonight, just a little bit ago. We will work on get a response back to the board. We have any arrests of juvenile fires out there, so if you see any suspicious activity involving juveniles, please call the local fire department, police department, and let's see if we can stop these little burnings, garbage cans, and cars and stuff like that. Thank you.
Trustee Meyer, just to get three proposals, three ordinances
A few phone calls this week from residents that was concerned because there's so many dogs that's loose in the village and it's not on leash. And that one man actually had to jump on top of his car. And his daughter had to call the police to come because this was a very vicious and big dog. And I just wanted to make the residents aware, some of the young ladies were telling them that they walk with sticks when they're walking through the village because there's so many dogs that's loose. So just be careful of this around you and make sure that when you're walking, that you don't get hurt. I just want all the residents to note that there have been some incidents where these dogs are not afraid of humans. They will charge you. So I know at one point that under wildlife, we talked about that before with the raccoons and all of that at the bus stop chasing the children, but it's a lot of dogs out there.